Hey everyone, I'm Pastor Alec,
And I'm Eli.
and today we are continuing our walk through Second Kings. So, Eli, what do you have for me today? What have you been reading?
Oh, 2 Kings 9 through 13.
Okay, interesting
And
section.
very interesting, that's for sure. So first off, with the very first verse, with Elisha telling one of his servants to go tell Jehu that he will be anointed king over Israel.
Yep.
Why did God do that? Did he want to just put a different person in the royal seat, or was it just kind of...
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, is it? Um, well,
Well, I guess what now was he in the was Jehoshaphat? That's Israel, right? Or is that Judah?
no, that's Judah.
Okay, yeah, then my question was, why is it not Judah?
Well, because remember, most of the ministry of Elijah and Elijah before him is in the northern kingdom of Israel.
Right.
So they only really do a little bit with Judah, and I mean at this point, you had the first and second Kings began with David and David's final days, and then Solomon, and then Rehoboam, Solomon's son, divides the kingdom
Right.
because he's foolish, and then Jeroboam is anointed king of the northern kingdom, and he sets up his temples in the north and the south of his territory. And then from then on, the story is mainly about the northern kingdom,
Right.
and how
Yeah,
terrible the northern
Once
kingdom is.
Elijah comes in.
Right. So yeah, then it's Elijah and Ahab and Jezebel, and then Elisha, then Ahab and Jezebel, their family, and so you get really First and Second Kings is centered around the ministries of Elijah and Elisha, and so you do have references. I'm looking for them now. Going back to the beginning, at the end of First Kings and the beginning of Second Kings, you've got it does jump over and tells you at the very end of First Kings that Jehoshaphat becomes a king in Israel, or sorry, a king of Judah, right? And then it goes back to the northern kingdom, and anytime you see, there's another instance we talked about, I believe last time, where the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom kind of join forces, right? And they call upon Elisha to come and help out, and he does. And the southern king likes him because Elisha is a prophet of Yahweh,
Right.
and the southern kingdom still believes in Yahweh. And the northern king doesn't like him because he's with the guy. He was with the guy who killed his had his
Right.
granddad killed, or was an enemy of his granddad. And so yeah, I mean, but most of this stuff has taken place in the northern kingdom. Now, Jehu, where does Jehu even show up before?
I think it was when they laid siege on Samaria.
Okay.
I think.
Well, I mean, either way, what's going to happen is Jehu's going to clean house.
Right.
Right? So this is while Ahaziah he's reigning in Judah, and then he says, "Okay, all right, let's just read, I guess." Then Elisha the prophet called one of the sons of the prophets and said to him, "Tie up your garments and take this flask of oil in your hand and go to Ramoth Gilead. And when you arrive, look there for Jehu the son of Jehoshaphat, okay, son of Nimshi, and go in and have him rise from among his fellows and lead him to an inner chamber. Then take the flask of oil and pour it on his head and say, 'Thus says the Lord, I anoint you king over Israel.' Then open the door and flee. Do not linger." Okay, so you see what's happening. Why? What's the change that's being made here?
He believes in God.
Okay, well, presumably, again, going back to the end of First Kings, um, is this the same Jehoshaphat that reigned in Judah? Right?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
if it is,
it?
then now
Okay.
I think so. Because now what you've got is you've got a son of the southern kingdom has now been anointed to reign in the northern kingdom, which means that the descendants of David are now reigning in the northern kingdom again,
Okay. Yeah.
even if they're different. Even if it's a different kingdom,
Right.
it's still now a descendant of David.
Right. I understand that now.
So what's supposed to happen then is Jehu is going to, so let's see what happens. So the young man, the servant of the prophet, went to Ramoth Gilead, and when he came, behold, the commanders of the army were in council, and he said, I have a word for you, O commander. And Jehu said, to which of us all? And he said, to you, O commander. So he arose and went into the house, and the young man poured the oil on his head, saying to him, thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, I anoint you king over the people of the Lord, over Israel. And you shall strike down the house of Ahab your master, so that I may avenge on Jezebel the blood of my servants the prophets, and the blood of all the servants of the Lord. For the whole house of Ahab shall perish, and I will cut off from Ahab every male, bond or free in Israel, and I will make the house of Ahab like the house of Jeroboam the son of Nebat, and like the house of Baasha the son of Ahijah. And the dog shall eat Jezebel in the territory of Jezreel, and none shall bury her. Then he opened the door and fled. So he said that and got out of there.
Right.
So the whole idea then is Jehu, who again is the family of David, is supposed to be anointed king of the northern kingdom, and God is just going to get rid of Ahab's whole family.
Right.
And be done. No more Ahab, no more Jezebel. And maybe, I think the idea is that maybe if we get rid of them, then, and their children aren't reigning after them, then maybe they will come back and worship the Lord.
Right. Well, it also kind of gets, because I guess Ahab wasn't the one who started the downward turn, but he kind of like turned it into a tornado rather
Yeah,
than
that's a
like
good way to say it. Yeah, he definitely, it wasn't his thing,
Right.
but he made it his thing.
Right.
And especially Jezebel plays a very large role in
Oh, yeah.
that.
So, yeah, basically, that kind of answered my other question. I was just like, why did he kill everyone?
Yeah,
But
it's
just to
It's like a
take
moment,
away
the
all
Godfather
the
or something.
right.
Yeah, it's like-
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, and this is what happens to Jezebel is, I mean, that it's like, what worse death could you want or I mean it's just terrible.
Right. They threw her off the top.
Well, yeah, they throw out of the building,
Right.
off the roof, right, or
Yeah.
something like that, and then then the horses stomp her.
Oh, yeah, I didn't read that.
The horses trample her, and then the dogs eat her flesh.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, he went in to have a feast
Right.
with the people in the house that she was just in.
Yeah.
And he goes, bury her like a king's daughter.
Yeah.
And-
There's something I've been kind of throwing around. I don't know if there's anything to this, but I think of like in the Gospel of Matthew when Jesus is encountered by the Gentile woman from Tyre and Sidon. And she asks for Jesus. She's bothering Jesus. It makes it very clear he's kind of irritated. And the disciples say, basically send her away, as in like heal her heal her daughter and send her away.
Right.
And they even use the word Canaan or Canaanite. She's a Canaanite woman, and she's from Tyre and Sidon. That's where Jezebel's from.
Okay, yeah.
And he says something like, I'm not going to take what's the children's and throw it to the dogs.
Oh, yeah.
And that's recently it's kind of struck me. It's like I don't know what to do with this, but in the other gospel accounts, she's not necessarily a Canaanite from Tyre and Sidon. She's a Syrophoenician woman, right?
Okay, yeah.
But in this one, she's a Canaanite from Tyre and Sidon. And this whole bit about the throwing to the dogs thing, and I kind of wondered, is that in some way related to this Jezebel
That's
event?
true.
I don't know.
Do the other when they say she's just a Phoenician woman, does that say that throw it to the dogs?
Yeah. Well,
It
yeah,
does.
because what happens is you know there's this throwing to the dogs, and then she kind of turns it around and says, "Well, even the dogs eat from the scraps of the master's table." Right?
Yeah.
And it's almost like I don't know who Jesus is for Jesus, who are the dogs?
Right.
And for that woman, she identifies herself with the dog. And it's like, is Jesus doing that too? I mean, people tend to read
Right.
it that way, but maybe he's not. I don't know.
That is weird, yeah.
I don't know.
Especially if is that just like a one-off thing?
I don't
that
know.
happened?
Is it just the language of the day or something?
Right.
I don't know. But I always just think of, and there's been times where I've been thinking about this and I've read a whole lot into it, then I have to back off and say, well, I don't know. But
Right.
it just always kind of comes to mind when I think about Jezebel,
Yeah.
literally, being thrown to the dogs and eaten by the dogs.
Right,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
That's something to think about.
Yep. Something. All right, what else you got?
Oh yeah, I was shocked when I read this. So when Jehu gathered all the people of Baal
Yeah.
in the temple, and let me find the verse, 10 verse 27,
Okay.
chapter 10.
Yep.
So they destroyed Baal's sacred stone. They also tore down Baal's temple, and then they just added people have used it as a public toilet to this day.
Yeah.
I thought that it was like summed up
Right.
these 5 chapters that I read perfectly.
Yeah, they destroy the temple, they demolish it, and then people, use it as a toilet. Right.
But next, so is Joash related to Ahab? Was Ahaziah married into Ahab's family, correct?
Mm, is Joash related to oh gosh,
I wouldn't think so after what Jehu did.
yeah, destroying his entire family. Well, Joash is a king of. You're talking about? Oh wait.
In chapter 11.
Yeah. Okay. So he's king of Judah.
Right.
So,
But Ahaziah was king of Judah. Was he the one that married into Ahab's family, or was it Joram or Jehoram?
well, let's see. Well, you've got this little bit in 11, verse 1, because what's going to happen is Ahab's daughter is going to marry into the southern kingdom.
Right.
Okay, in this little bit in 11, verse 1, you do see some movement in the families. I don't know if that's the place we're talking about, but all right, 11:1. Now when Athaliah, the mother of Ahaziah, saw that her son was dead, she arose and destroyed all the royal family. But Jehoshabah, the daughter of King Joram, sister of Ahaziah, took Joash, the son of Ahaziah, and stole him away from among the king's sons who were being put to death, and she put him and his nurse in a bedroom. Thus they hid him from Athaliah, so that he was not put to death. And he remained with her 6 years, hid in the house of the Lord, while Athaliah reigned over the land. So this is, you get a queen who's reigning, and she, after Ahaziah is killed, then she hides her child away, and then she reigns for a while, and then when the kid gets old enough, Joash, then I guess he becomes king.
Right. Yeah, I think it was like 7 or something.
So yeah, I mean, there's some.
I figured it was Joram married into Ahab's family because I have it in my questions from
Okay.
from last time.
Yeah, I should have
But
read that more carefully.
I don't know. I don't know if Athaliah is the one that he married, because Athaliah is Ahaziah's mother, but I guess it's not Jehoshaba's mother.
Yeah, so well, I guess part of the problem is that there does seem to be a switch, doesn't there?
Yeah.
Right? So so I guess well, maybe not as much of a switch. So Jehu is reigning in the northern kingdom.
Correct.
And so then they go after Ahaziah in the southern kingdom.
Right.
Right? So they're going after the family because Jehu just had everyone in the northern kingdom killed. So they
Right.
go after the northerners then go after the people of the southern kingdom, right? Because you've got the daughter of Joram now is trying to kill the royal family to I guess take control.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, there's all kinds of crazy
I
back
know.
and forth that's going on here. But yeah, what ends up happening though is at some point then Jezebel's daughter Ahab's daughter marries into the southern kingdom.
Right.
And so then they both end up going astray.
Yeah.
And you don't really get after that you get a few good kings in Judah, but like Jehoash, he's going to be a good king in Judah. You're going to get see what's going to happen with the family of Jehu's family in Israel, and they're going to continue to do bad stuff.
Right.
And then there's going to be another Jeroboam who's going to take over in Israel, Jeroboam II, and he's going to do bad stuff again. So yeah, there's a little bit of flip-flopping, but what ends up happening is both lines, or both, even though they're now being ruled by the family of David, both of them, they're both kind of just in a downward spiral.
Yeah, it's kind of like you got David, and then I guess so it's kind of like a double negative, I guess, because you got David and you got Jezebel's family, and they mixed in together, and now
Yeah.
it's kind of
Right. Yeah. It's
canceled out.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there is so you have to think though. Then the Israelites really, for them, they do really care about bloodlines.
Yeah.
And pure bloodlines.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for the rulers.
Well, I feel like that's found through all royalty.
Yeah, I think
It might come from this.
It is
specifically.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, yeah, in the cultures that have been affected by
Right.
the Bible, but I think also the Israelites, they're also very keen on not intermarrying with other
Yeah.
religious groups.
Oh,
and
yeah.
people
I mean,
groups.
even still, they're a lot like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, they're I mean, different. I mean, there's now Judaism is kind of vast now, and there's
Yeah.
all different, different,
Sects.
denominations
Right,
or
yeah,
sects of Judaism, and Christianity's similar in that regard, of course, but yeah, especially before they go into captivity, when they come back from captivity under Zerubbabel and Ezra and Nehemiah, then they're going to be very keen on not intermarrying.
Okay, yeah.
And then you're going to have challenges to that. Like I would say the book of Ruth is probably a challenge to that.
Okay.
Ruth is a Moabitess, and the whole book of Ruth is about how she's basically functions as a better Israelite than everyone else in the story.
Okay,
and she
yeah.
ends up being, an ancestor of King David.
Right.
Right? So the book of Ruth probably is a challenge to that.
Right.
And so yeah, but they're the bloodline for them is all mixed up, and so they really what they want to be able to say is that this king walked in the way of his father David.
Right.
That's what they want to say.
Yeah.
But they can't say that loud.
Well, even with Jehu, like he did good with the Lord, but then at the end, whenever he was about to die, it said he didn't love the Lord with all his heart, and then he walked in the ways of his father.
Yeah.